Hello, and welcome to the East Africa Business Podcast. I'm Sam Floy, and I'm here on the continent to learn about the emerging business scene. I'll be interviewing startups, investors, and organisations who are all playing their part in helping the region develop and grow. And in doing this podcast, I'll be sharing with you the things that I learned along the way. Cash is risky business, and in Kenya, mobile money is big. People living in rural areas are liable to have their life savings lost if it is kept under the mattress. Many engage in lending cooperatives, whereby a community organisation acts as a bank for people who need money in an emergency. This is, however, pretty archaic and inefficient, meaning people often can't get access to the cash when they need it quick. Using a digital platform that connects mobile money to these rural cooperatives, Inuka Pap is making it possible for people to get access to the funds in an instant. Waweru and I discuss what the lending landscape looks like, the social mission they have around providing free health insurance, and the blurred lines around whether they themselves are in fact a bank or not. As a side note, the day after I interviewed Waweru, he pitched Inuka Pap at Seed Stars, a global startup competition, and won the title for Kenya. You'll see from this episode he has quite a knack for storytelling. Also, a car alarm goes off at the background right at the end, so apologies for that. In any case, I hope you enjoy. Okay. So, I'm here with Waweru from Inuka Pap. Waweru, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this.
No problem at all. Cool. So, just to get us started, can you tell us a bit about you and a bit about Inuka Pap?
So, a bit about me. I am 30 years old. I just turned 30. I have a 3-year-old child. I'm married to one wife and enjoying our relationship. And that's about me. I have about 9 years of experience in selling microinsurance products through developing and selling microinsurance products through churches, through savings and credit cooperatives in villages. And pretty much I'm passionate about people. I love doing things that change people's lives. And I love seeing the work that I do impacting people. So basically that's pretty much about me. Inuka Pap started off about a long time ago. I mean, the dream started a long time ago. The vision of impacting people's lives with the work that I do. I knew that. I mean, I grew up in rural Kenya. My dad was a pit latrine digger. If you know what a pit latrine is in Kenya we don't always go to the toilet inside houses. There are toilets that you have to dig a hole and then you enter and squat and release, so that's a pit latrine. And so that's what my dad used to dig when I was growing up, and my mother was a farmer, a casual laborer actually, because we didn't have our own farm. So she would go to my neighbors' farms, her friends' farm, work for them, and they pay her. And so pretty much that's how I grew up. And most of the times they get paid. Some of the times the people they're working for would postpone their payments. And what they didn't know is that most of the times that would happen, that would mean that we ran the risk of going to sleep hungry, And this is not because my dad or my mom were not saving money, but it's because saving money in rural Africa or rural Kenya, you don't save money within banks. You save money within village, savings and credit cooperatives. This is where people come together and then they save money. And then in case of anything, if you want a loan, you get from your group. And you can imagine accessing a loan at the exact time of need is almost impossible because there are no structures in place. So maybe to access a loan, it would take you anywhere between 2 days to 2 weeks. And pretty much that's how I grew up. That's what I knew, growing up. And so one thing I knew I wanted to do was change the lifestyle of people living in villages, in rural Kenya mainly, because that's where I come from. I understand their problems. I know what farmers go through. I know what casual laborers go through because that's what we went through growing up. And so pretty much Inuka Pap comes to solve that some of those problems. And I'm pretty sure you have enough questions that are going to lead me to tell you how that started.
Very good. So just to get us up, what does Inuka Pap mean?
So Inuka Pap means rise up instantly. Pap is like a slang for instantly. Inuka means rise up. So it means rise up instantly. And you want to know what we do?
Yeah, why not?
So what Inuka Pap is, we've developed a mobile platform that partners with these village savings and credit cooperatives to allow their members to access loans instantly on their mobile phones. The benefit that we have within the East African market is mobile money penetration is almost 90%, if not more. And you find that every 1 kilometer you walk, you get like two mobile money agents, the largest one being M-Pesa. And so what that means is that people have access to the M-Pesa services, that you can send money to somebody's phone, and just within their compound or community, they can just walk to 2 meters, 2 minutes away, and they're able to access their money. If somebody receives money on their mobile phone, they can actually spend it without having to withdraw it to physical money. It's become an acceptable way of living. You can buy stuff from a very small shop outlet outside your house. You can use it at hospitals. You can pay taxi. And so we use the same platform to enable these people access these loans instantly. And so that's what the platform does.
Okay, so in terms of the farmers receiving money, just so I've got this clear, these farmers, they've got their own mobile phone.
Yes.
And they go to Inuka Pap. Inuka Pap then transfers the money to their phone, and then they can go to these little kiosks, or they have that money, and that's pretty liquid currency. They're able to spend it
absolutely
straight away.
Absolutely.
See, how does the farmer go about asking Inuka Pap for the money?
So it's very simple, really. So once we sign a contract with the cooperative the farmer comes from, the cooperative gives us the farmer's data. So phone name, phone number, ID number, and the amount of money they would qualify for in case they need an emergency loan. And so once we onboard that on our platform, the farmer receives a message telling them exactly how to go through the process of accessing the funds. And this is on SMS basis. So it doesn't require like a smartphone or an application, a smart application on Android or iOS. It's very simple, SMS based. You just dial a USSD code and you're able to access our services. Yeah.
And who decides how much you can give?
So see, the cooperative already is in the business of lending. So the cooperative is already lending to these farmers. It has the farmer's savings. They know the farmer, they know where the farmer lives, so they can easily appraise the amount of money a farmer can access as an instant loan. And so they give me that data, and all I do is just automate the process and make it efficient for the farmer to access the loan. Because typically what would happen without Inuka Pap is, when a farmer wants to borrow, when a farmer knows, like for example, there's this lady, she's called Mama Ayeyo. And what Mama Ayeyo used to do is, she has 10 children. She lives in a village in Kenya. And with 10 children and her saving money within these local cooperatives, she knew that in case of an emergency, in case one of the child falls sick, maybe at night, it is impossible for her to access a loan instantly. So what she used to do is, she had this very small cup that she would hide the money. She would put money and hide in the ceiling. So this time she goes to the ceiling to look for her money, and she discovers that the money was missing, because she doesn't have to go on the ceiling to check for the money. She just lifts her hand, touches, and gets the cup and looks inside the cup. And when she looks inside the cup, there's no money. She went to the husband, and they had a serious fight with the husband, because the husband is a drunkard. So she assumed that the husband is the one who has stolen the money, and the husband knew he's not the one who has stolen the money. The kids around are not old enough to actually manage to get to the roof. So the husband is the one who decided. He was totally drunk, but he still decided to climb up and check probably what happened, because he got thrashed. And he knew for sure it wasn't him. So he figured that the money might have dropped in the ceiling. And so he went up, but then he discovered that the money was lying scattered across the roof, half chilled. Apparently, Mama Yeyo had been saving money, but the rats had been, eating the money. And this money was being saved for emergency purposes. So these are some of the situations that people are going through to secure themselves from, these kind of emergencies. And so by keeping money at home, you run that risk of, sharing your money with rats, your money getting stolen. It's a risky. But most importantly, you don't get a good credit history with your cooperative to access enough to a bigger loan. Because if you're saving everything within the cooperative, you can actually access a bigger loan. But because you're afraid that if you save everything and an emergency happens, you're not able to access these funds in time, you choose to split your savings, put some at home. And so with now the Inuka Pap platform, you find that most of the cooperatives that we are working with are increasing their savings, their saving collections by up to 30%. Because now people can comfortably, save money because they know in case of an emergency, there's a backup plan. They're able to quickly go on their mobile phones and access the funds.
How difficult was it to get people to convince people to stop storing the cash in a cup in their house and start doing it through you?
So see, it's not difficult at all because they don't care about Inuka Pap. People, they don't care about Inuka Pap. They care about their cooperative. And if their cooperative is telling them, by the way, now thanks to Inuka Pap, we can extend a loan to you instantly. They are comfortable because they know the cooperative. How difficult was it for us to convince the cooperative to use our platform? Now that's another whole different conversation because these cooperatives are ran by people who are 60 years, 70, 80 years old. They don't really understand much about technology. But with the exposure of M-Pesa, Safaricom's M-Pesa, the mobile money wallet, people have become comfortable in transacting through the mobile phone. So this we have to associate ourselves with the existing mobile applications or mobile money wallets that people already know so that they can understand where we are coming from. And then the fact that we are integrated with these large mobile money wallets, it makes it very comfortable for them to accept our product. So, even if you look at our progress from when we started to now, it goes to show that, we're not yet where we need to be. We're not yet where we want to be, but our growth has been very intentional because we can only grow based on the capacity internally. We started off in January this year. Our first cooperative gave us 200 users, but now we've grown our user base to 12,000, in a span of less than 8 months. So, and this is very staged growth because we don't want to outgrow our capacity. And there's just a lot that we can talk about in terms of our growth, in terms of our learnings. But yeah, pretty much the journey has been interesting.
All right. So what have been the main things that you've learned in these first 8 months?
Oh, first of all, I think when you have a vision or an idea that is exciting, you really don't even know what you're getting yourself into until you start. Until you get people using your platform. And then, you get to hear, some of the problems that they're going through. You get to hear some of the solutions that they're suggesting to you. But there's a lot of learnings that we've had to go through. There's some cooperatives that have, been in existence for hundreds of years, literally. We had a cooperative that is about 130 years old. They have about 200,000 members. These are huge cooperatives. This was a coffee farmers cooperative. So coffee farmers started the cooperative about 130 years ago, and then they, as they grow old and they leave their sons to run the farms, their sons take over the cooperative, and then their grandsons take over the cooperatives. It's been like that basically. So the guys already have such strong such strong, such strong basis of running the business. Everything has been done on files, and that's what they know. And so you go there excited about this thing that you have, and this thing that these small cooperatives are taking up, and they look at you and they're like, we don't want it, And this is like, for you, you look at this, you're like, oh my God, once I hit these guys, I break even instantly. But then they're not interested in your product. And you're like, what the heck? What's going on? This would be like the first thing that you jump to. But then you discover that, these are really traditional people. They were taught by their grandfathers how to run the business. They're not too well educated. So they're very comfortable doing what they learned. So there's such a strong cultural background that, is stopping them from, progressing. But then also you find that they're very comfortable with the money they make, and they're very comfortable with the dividends they make. They're not ambitious. We are used to ambition. We are living in the 21st century where everything is microwave. I put it in, I put it out, I eat it. So, but for them, they're used to processes, and that's what they're comfortable with. And so it was very frustrating for us because and we're talking about like the biggest cooperatives in Kenya, and they were just not interested, And when you go back to the small ones, they take it up very quickly, but the big ones just, those really, really big ones, they kind of just not, they're very comfortable doing what they do. So we figured it's going to take a long time, building relationships with them, talking to them, showing them what the kind of data we are gathering from the ones that we're already working with, for them to receive what we have. And so those are some of the things that we encountered that we never expected.
So what are the benefits other than the members being able to access money much more quickly? What are the benefits for a cooperative deciding to take on Inuka Pap?
First of all, paperless transactions. Let's start from there. The cooperative spends about 30% of their revenue, processing, managing, recovering these loans. They pay us about 15% of the revenue generated on the platform, and we process, we manage, and recover the loans for them all on the platform. And so they save a lot of money. They cut their traffic by about 80%, because people coming in to borrow money, they can now comfortably do it from their mobile phones. So they don't have to go to the offices of the cooperative to access that fund. That means that they can now reduce their manpower within the cooperative, which saves time, which saves money for them. And then it's all automated, and they have real data, of people from when they borrowed, what time they borrowed, when they repaid, all that data now they can be able to access because of our platform.
Yeah. And to just clarify, you make money, you say 15% of the revenue that goes through?
Yes.
So that is if I give a loan of 100,000 shillings, 15,000 shillings of that is going to Inuka Pap.
No, if you give a loan of 100,000 shillings, what interest are you charging the 100,000 shillings? So if it's 10%, then we take 15% of the interest generated.
Interest, right.
Yes.
Can you survive off that? That doesn't sound very much.
So it's interesting because if you look at these cooperatives and what the kind of loans that are being disbursed within the platform, you're looking at micro loans, right? So you're looking at loans of anywhere between $10 to somewhere between to maybe like $100, And so these are meant for emergencies purposes. So it's a 30-day loan. It's not like a 12-month loan. And so the cooperatives, because they are the ones who lend within each other, they determine what interest rates they will charge each other based on what growth they want to see themselves grow within 1 year, right? Because they usually share dividends after every 1 year. There's a conversation going around about microcredit not having any impact. But I can assure you, microcredit done well has significant impact. And what do I mean by saying microcredit done well? I mean by having the individuals themselves lending to each other from one pool of money. Because if, for example, we come together and we are saving $10, $20 a week, at the end of a month or whatever, we can have maybe like $5,000. And if from that pool we can lend to each other at 10% per month, and it looks big, looks like a huge interest rate. But remember that all this money is still coming back to the pool, and then people are sharing revenue. So at the end of the day, you get your money, you get all the money back. So what we do is these loans that they lend to each other on an emergency basis are at significantly high interest rates. So you're looking at anywhere between 7.5% to 10% per month. So if we're able to do, if you're able to lend to maybe like even right now 12,000 people, $50 per month at a 10% interest rate, and we are keeping 15% of revenue, then it starts to make sense. But when you're dealing with like a very small group, you really don't see the effect until now you start having, because in Kenya alone, we're looking at 16,000 registered cooperatives. They're serving about 13 million people. So we barely scratched the surface. And this is purely because we definitely need to, we're in the process of, we actually started raising our round, our seed stage round, because we've prototyped. We had raised an angel round of about $150,000. Now we are at a place where we can raise an angel round, a seed stage round, where now we can actually grow this across the Kenyan market, take over the Kenyan market, and then I'll look at going, beyond Kenya.
So, it seems like quite a compelling business case.
Yeah.
Do you have any competition?
We do have competition, and we've had a copycat here and there. We've had, there's a company that was doing something similar to what we started, to what we were doing, and then when we started doing it, they also, joined us and started doing it. But then, if you look at like such companies, what they're doing is they're very focused on circles or these cooperatives that are very close to the urban areas, because they have to integrate systems. But if you look at what we're doing, we're dealing with circles that are seriously within the rural area. And these are cooperatives that don't have any systems to integrate with. So what we've done a dashboard and the back end. So they can even give us a list on a pen and paper, and we're able to upload that. So we do have competition. The market is really huge. I can tell you we don't have enough competition. And what we're also trying to do is very impactful. And so I feel that if I was trying to be an Uber, taking over the world single-handedly, I would quickly, try and completely lock out the market from any competition. I'm still capable of doing that, but I don't think that's the vision right now, because the market is tremendously huge. And even as we speak right now, we don't have capacity to, cover Kenya, the 13 million people, who are saving money within these local credit cooperatives. We've not touched Uganda, Tanzania, Zambia, Zimbabwe, South Africa. These are the countries that we have marked, and we've seen they have very similar strategy within the cooperative space. And you're looking at about 25 million people who are using these kind of systems within these countries. So the market is tremendously huge. And once we raise our money, our target in Kenya is just to hit 5 million people, and then we move to another country, maybe Tanzania and Uganda. Right now, if I show you my email, there's an organization in Cameroon that's reaching out to us with about 250,000 people. They're asking where they can load money for their members to start borrowing, like through the platform. So there is market. Our current concern right now is actually not competition, it's talent. So we have struggled, pulling together talent, be it tech. Our CTO right now sits in South Africa. He's a lecturer at an MIT lecturer on big data. It took us so long to get a CTO, because of what it is. I mean, because of our location and what it is that we're trying to achieve. But I think as we grow and as our name gets out there, it's starting to become much easier in terms of building talent, but it's been quite tough. So, yeah.
I wonder if you could. So what I'm thinking at the moment is, do people in urban areas save and lend money through these cooperatives?
Not as much, really. We do have cooperatives that are serving people in urban areas. We do have those. They're not many. They're actually less than 10%. So they are there. People understand them, but because urban areas have banks, so there's really no much reason to save money within a cooperative when you already have a bank which you can comfortably save from. But what has been interesting is when we were generating the 12,000 members in rural, minding our own business in the village, we've gotten so much. But right now we have over 3,000 people who've reached out to us directly on email, through our website, trying to access our services. And people who can access email and website are people in urban areas. And so what we said was, let's open this up. Let's allow anybody to be able to save and borrow money within the platform. And so what we did was we developed an app on Android right now. I think we should have it on iOS maybe end of this month. That allows people to save money, borrow loans, and because we have opened it up to the public, and people can actually comfortably save money within within the platform. And these people, we're not sharing any revenue with them. What we did was, we're not sharing any revenue with a cooperative, with the people who are saving with us directly. What we did was, we decided to share the revenue back with the people. And so we just signed a contract with one of the largest companies insurance companies in East Africa. They're called Britam, to provide free medical insurance for these people who are saving with us directly and borrowing loans. That makes us the first company in Africa, I don't know about the world, to provide free medical insurance on a mobile platform.
So that is, so I've got that right. You have this service that you go to the cooperatives, and that's kind of doing its own thing. And then you've created this other product, which is essentially making your own big cooperative where people deposit money and you give it back. And the revenue that you've been generating from that, rather than keeping it in the company, you've decided to set up a system whereby the people in the first instance, they're the ones that are receiving free medical insurance.
Yes, because I think it's purely generated out of a need. We didn't go out there trying to tell people, you guys, we have Inuka Pap on a mobile platform, please come sign up. No, we were busy focusing on circles, but we got over 3,000 people in actually less than something like 4 months, trying to access our platform directly, sending us their phone number, email address, name, So we were like, you know what, there's a need for this even in urban areas. So, and I think they find it very appealing and very comfortable when they can be able to access that at the comfort of their houses, without having to go to an office, without having to go. So you find that now that we have that, we're looking at, small people with small businesses in the informal sector are actually able to save money every evening, and every morning they withdraw their money and they borrow a little money. They go do their business, and then in the evening they pay back, and they're able to improve their businesses. They're able to increase capacity in what they buy and sell every day. So it is building impact. It is, and you find that this person, if you look at what's been happening within the Kenyan space and the informal sector, you find that a lot of people lose their jobs and lose their businesses simply because either their boss got sick or one of the family members fell sick, and the only money they could get to take this person to the hospital is the capital invested in the business. And so they take out all the capital, they get the person treated, but they end up without money to run their business. And so what we have done, we have said, you save for your future and let us worry about your rainy day. Because a lot of people are told, save for rainy day. But what Inuka Pap is saying is, no, you save for your future. You take care of your insurance, which takes care of your rainy day, so that you can be guaranteed that the money that you have for your business stays in your business.
So are you now a bank?
I don't know. It's an interesting question. I really don't know. I do not know what we are right now. I mean, what we have done legally to ensure that we can be able to take deposits to lend, because of dealing with cooperatives, and these cooperatives are licensed by government to lend and to take deposits. We ride on one of the cooperatives' license. And then the government is so much on our side because they can see what we're doing and they can see that the work that we're doing is extremely noble. And so they're on our side. Are we a bank? I have no idea. Right now, all I know and all I want to work with is I am a mobile platform that is here to disrupt how people save money and how people access medical insurance, how people access credit, and simply make it convenient and make this a wake-up call to Africa that things don't have to be done the same way for thousands of years. There's a time that is coming. We're in a certain time in life where we have to embrace technology. Not all technology is evil. We have good technology and we should embrace it.
So what do you think are going to be the main challenges towards doing that?
Towards growing, like scaling?
Yeah, so at the moment you were saying that your next target, or one of your targets, is to get to 5 million people in Kenya. What do you foresee might be some of the challenges in being able to do that?
I think maybe how I can answer that question is by saying how we want to be able to do that. How are we able to access 5 million subscribers within Kenya alone? And we have marketing strategies where we've said right now, for us to access 12,000 subscribers, we've been going from one cooperative to another. So once we close our round, we're going to say, instead of having to do one cooperative to another, why not invite cooperative directors, cooperative CEOs within one hotel in Nairobi, where we can invite, people in government, people in corporate space to help these cooperative members, cooperative leaders to understand the benefits and the opportunities around tech, opportunities around government that they can take advantage of. Having done that, if we can do that with maybe like 200 directors, 200 CEOs of these cooperatives, that, number one, makes them look at us as leaders in the market, because we are driving that conversation. Number two, they get to understand exactly what we do together. And so for them to access our product, it becomes much easier because they're already aware of it, and now they're the ones reaching out to us instead of us having to reach out to them. We are also now starting to look at PR companies that we can start talking to so that we can have presence on media, mainstream media, because what we're doing is a people's product. So the more we talk about it, the more people are aware that we exist, and the more interested they get to working with us. The third thing is that you find we have telcos in Africa, And what telcos are used to do is they have a mobile money platform where they use it to disburse funds from one person to the next. Right now is when we are having telcos coming up or partnering with systems that allow people to save and borrow money within their mobile phones. Now, what we have is a platform that allows people to save money, borrow loans, and access free medical insurance. And so we would like to start partnering with telcos as well. And, have the telco marketplace, have the telcos white label these products and push it within the ecosystem. And so if we do that with telcos that has 10 million members, 12 million subscribers, 30 million, 80 million subscribers, 5 million is a walk in the park.
See. So we'll just do a few more questions.
Sure.
If that's all right. So with that sort of plan laid out, what would help? What would make your job easier?
First things first. Once we close our round, obviously we'll have capacity to grow. The second thing is definitely we need people who are aware of this market, people who have an understanding about the telco space, people who have an understanding about the microfinance space, microinsurance space, tech background. Reach out. If we can get people reaching out to us, and even if they get this, if they have some time and they want to come to Kenya and visit our office and hang out with us for a month or two, teach us how to do business. If there's something my team and I are good at, is learning from others. We are very keen to hear people out. We have we call it an open door policy where even our own customers can tell us what they think we should do. We are completely willing to learn. I think we need to get we have a lot of things that we need to put in place in terms of operations as well. So any talent that we can get for free, we will take it,
Yeah.
And absolutely. So it's mainly fundraising once we close our round, and then we get talent. I think we leave the rest to God, and I have an idea. I have a feeling that this is just the beginning of Inuka Pap, and there are greater things to come. But we can't do it by ourselves. We need people like you, who put us out there. We've been looking at. We honestly believe we have a story that can be told, and the more we tell our story, the more people get to know what we do, and the more people get to benefit. But most importantly, we also get to grow, So we're looking at ways we can get on media, even World Media, World Plus Media, CNN, BBC. They have startup programs that they do. Putting us in one of those puts our name out there, gets us known, and so that's what we are looking at.
Okay. Yeah. And just last question. So it seems that when you came into it, you were pretty prepared. You kind of knew what was going. You kind of had an idea of what was going to happen. But what has been the biggest surprise or the biggest unexpected thing that's happened since you started?
Since we started, oh Lord, quite a lot actually. When we started off, I looked for a co-founder. I've always heard that for you to be successful in the startup space, you need a co-founder. And looking at very many startup accelerators like Y Combinator and a few others, they give priority to people with a co-founder. So it kind of made sense why I didn't even think that there was a startup that doesn't have a co-founder. And I looked for a co-founder for a long time, and I couldn't convince anyone to be my co-founder. Literally, it was hard. Because when I told them what I'm trying to do, they thought I was crazy. They were like, "You're mad. This can't work." So I started off myself. Did this myself. Took all my savings between me and my wife, put it into the business. Got like the first initial prototype ready, but then as we went on growing in terms of building something that looks like it can work. What surprised me the most is right now I can tell you we are a team of 8, and I can't afford to pay any one of them what they had been earning in the companies that they left. So I've had incredible support within and most of them have been my friends who looked at what I was doing. 2 of them I approached to be my co-founders. They were like, you're crazy, but they also needed to feed their families. They still need to feed their families. I still don't know how they're doing it, but they kind of believe in the vision right now. So for me, I find that's one of the positive things that surprised me. Obviously, the negative one is what I had mentioned when I thought, when you have in mind who you're going to sell this to, and then you go and find that they don't even care about your product. They're very comfortable doing things the way they were doing it. I mean, that was a negative surprise where you were like, oh my God, I thought these guys would jump at the idea, I thought they'd be excited about the idea. They just don't care.
See. Well, how can people listening at home, how can they follow the story of Inuka Pap?
We are on Facebook as Inuka Pap. We are on Twitter as Inuka Pap. And I think you can follow us from there. We have a website, www.inukapap.co.ke. I should probably spell Inuka Pap.
It's fine. I'll add it in the show notes.
Perfect. So essentially those are the places that people can find us. We have an email, info@inukapap.co.ke. I personally respond to all the emails. So pretty much, that would be fantastic.
Cool. Well, that was super interesting. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure.
Before we head, just a quick moment to say thank you for listening. You can see the show notes of this episode by heading to samfloy.com/podcast and then searching for the episode title. That's samfloy.com/podcast. Now, a few people have got in touch and have been asking about how this podcast came about. And well, it all started when I took a one-way flight to Rwanda to seek out business opportunities across the region. I'm now at the stage of formulating a bit of a plan of the business I want to go into, based on all of these podcast interviews, and we'll be keeping a record of what I get up to on my blog. And so if you're interested in being kept in the loop, you can sign up to the newsletter there. Again, it's samfloy.com. Also, if you have any questions, comments or feedback about the podcast, or indeed anything, please feel free to email me, podcast@samfloy.com, and I'd be very happy to chat. In any case, have a great week and speak to you soon.